Awesome. So the next thing is waterproof overgloves. So these can be like ski gloves, like the ones that I have right here, or some gloves are made where the glove is more like just a thin shell, like these, like my jacket would be, and you can use that to keep your hands warm. And you just want to really make sure, again, waterproof. And then to go along with the waterproof outer gloves, having liner gloves is really nice for while we're moving on the trail. Like for me, my hands get really cold, so it's nice to have just a really light glove just to keep on, or at night if it's not that cold but a little chilly, just having a nice thin glove is really helpful. And with your gloves, you want to make sure they're not cotton. So you know, like if you go to Dollar Tree, they have those little like magic gloves that stretch to the side of your hand. Those are really not preferable. Those are cotton. The thing with cotton is if it gets wet, it's never going to dry. So if you have little magic gloves, and then, you know, well, you're drinking out of your water bottle, water spills all over your hand, your glove's going to be wet for the rest of the trip, and that's not going to help insulate you. So really, 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 I'm pushing this now. No cotton on the trip at all. I know everyone loves their cotton t-shirts and all of that, but it's really not a good idea to have cotton on the trip. Number 4, a warm hat. This kind of hat or any kind of warm hat is really good. A lot of times on backpacking trips like this one, I'll bring 2 warm hats. When you're adding jackets and things, it's really good and important to have kind of the minimum with jackets, but adding an extra hat is small and lightweight, and it's easy to throw a second one into your pack. So if you do get really cold, you can just throw a second hat on over your original hat. Keeps you extra warm, and it's just an easy extra fix to have. For me, along with having a warm like wool hat or synthetic hat, if you have a regular beanie, again, make sure it's not cotton. A lot of beanies are made with cotton, so check the tags, read all your tags, make sure it says no cotton. I also really like to have a neck gaiter. So essentially this is just a tube of fleece that you wear around your neck, and it keeps your neck warm. I find this keeps me really, really warm. So I always pretty much bring it with me. Especially at night, it's really nice to have that extra warmth. So to go along with your warm hat, and again, make sure it's really warm, or bring 2. You're going to want to have, well, you don't have to, but as an optional item, you can bring a sun hat. I really like to have a sun hat, just especially in cases of, say, it's raining, then I don't get rain in my eyes. For me, rain in my eyes is a big pet peeve, so I like to carry a sun hat. Again, not required, but it's definitely a preference thing. And to go along with the sun hat, I didn't put this on the list, but it's another optional thing you can bring. I like to bring just a little ear warmer. Sometimes while I'm hiking, I don't need a full hat. I don't want a full hat. But just having something, it looks more like a headband, but it just goes over your ears and keeps your ears warm. So that's another option if you want it. And now we're going to get into the fun stuff. So that's all the hats, gloves, that kind of stuff. Now we're going to start talking a little bit about your base layers. So base layers are your wicking layer. Your first layer is kind of the clothing that you wear next to your skin. So, sorry, it's all in a stuff stack. I compressed my stuff this morning. So there are several different kinds of base layers out there. And again, with they really need to be synthetic or wool. So your base layers for like your bottoms could be like these are kind of like leggings, really nice. And then you also are going to want a base layer top. So you can have base layer shirt, base layer shirt. These are 2 different fabrics. The one in the blue, this is a synthetic fabric. That means it's made of polyester, nylon, spandex. Great wicking fabric, really nice. It'll do the job for you really well. And then we have wool. And wool does the exact same thing as synthetic, except a lot of times it's nice in the fact that it doesn't smell as bad as synthetic does. You're laughing, you know exactly what I'm talking about. After a few days just wearing synthetics, they can start to smell a little bit like BO. So having wool-based layers is really nice. Like I prefer merino wool right next to my skin, and then I'll wear synthetics on top of that.
Or smart wool. Smart wool is cool.
Exactly, yeah. Smart wool is made of merino wool. Kind of anything that's made of wool is going to be nice because it's going to stay scented better longer, if that makes sense. And again, with these, I cannot urge it strong enough. You know, go to your tags, pull out your tags, look and see what the materials are. If you have just generic base layers that say you got it like Target or Fred Meyer or something, there's definitely the potential for them to be made of cotton. So really check, even if there's 10% cotton in it, it's really something that you don't want to bring. There's this adage, cotton kills. What can happen is if you're wearing, say, a base layer like long johns that are cotton, as you sweat through the day, it gets a little bit damp, and then as night falls and it gets cold, then you're sitting in this wet shirt, and it's never going to dry. So really, really, really important, wool or synthetic for your base layers. And that goes for the top and for your bottoms. Synthetic all the way, really important. Or merino wool, smart wool, any of those items. The outdoor program has a box that has some base layers. If you really need something like that, talk to one of your trip leaders. But it's really good if people can bring their own of those items. So if you do have any questions about that, talk to your trip leaders, then they'll really get you geared up. And number 8 on the list, synthetic or wool underwear. It's a good idea not to have cotton underwear. Number 9, a mid-weight insulating fleece top. Yay, we're on the back side, almost done, right? So for me, this is kind of my favorite of my mid-weight tops. So as you can see, it's fleece and kind of this like waffle pattern. I find that this keeps me really warm. Basically, you want something, you have your base layers as your first layer, and then you want something over that's going to serve the purpose of being a layer that's going to keep you warm, but not be your warmest layer. It'll be something that if we're hiking, we're going, then we're going to take a 20-minute snack break, you can just throw on real quick so you stay warm. So having a mid-weight kind of a fleece layer is a really good idea. And then next up, number 10, a heavyweight insulating jacket. So what this would be either like a puffy jacket, kind of like Jen, right? Awesome, I remember the name, yay. So like Jen has a big puffy vest on. If you have a jacket made of that same kind of material, that's great as a heavyweight. I have this fleece, which is like my favorite, the Mountain Hardwear monkey fleece. Any kind of a really warm fleece jacket is a really good idea as your heavyweight insulating layer. You really want to make sure that it's going to be enough to keep you warm. So if you know I always freeze, I'm always cold, you know, bring maybe 2 fleeces. We are getting into the 30s, so think about, you know, how much clothing maybe you'd wear when you go up to the mountain in the winter. So you do want enough layers that you can stay warm. And one thing that I will add is kind of a caution with that. With puffy jackets, we do have the potential for a lot of precipitation. So if you have a down jacket, if down gets wet, it stays wet and it's really hard to dry out. So if you have a down jacket and it gets wet, it kind of turns into like pancakes together, becomes not insulating anymore. So I recommend that if you're going to bring a puffy item, you bring a synthetic puffy item and not a down puffy item. I mean, down is great for the warmth ratios, but on the off chance that we do get rain, which it is likely that we'll get some precipitation. We do get some water in the atmosphere. It's nice not to have down. Just because if you do have down, you can bring it if you want to, but you do have to be really, really careful about keeping it dry. And again, make sure you have enough stuff to keep warm. For me, I'm going to be having this guy, and I'm going to be having a really warm vest as well. You all know how much it takes to keep you warm. If you're always freezing, consider bringing, more items. And if you have any questions about that, talk to your trip leaders, and we can really work out a layering system with each of you. Number 11, heavyweight insulating fleece pants. So a lot of times for me when I'm out there, I'll be wearing my base layers, and I layer things over them to keep me warm. I pretty much only will put on